Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about desert sand. This is a special oil from Australia, and it's not available anymore, but hopefully they'll bring it back from time to time. So I saw that and I asked my sister to buy it for me and send it to me. And when I first smelt it, I was like, "Ooh, this is strong." And then I asked my family, and when the kids smelt it, they're like, "Yummo!" And my husband loves it, and I'm like, "Oh, what's wrong with me?" So I had to kind of do more research, and it smells so much better now. Just the other day, a friend, she got this massive headache, and I just felt inspired to make a blend with the desert sand for her. And she's like, "It's so yummy, Jade. I want some more." And I thought, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to tease you, but it's not available for sale." But it really helped her. So there you go. So let's dig into what it can really do. And I'll put that in my newest edition. But if you have the Kindle version, it'll be updated first. And you'll see the information on my website too. Okay, so if you have the course, this Using Gifts of the Earth course, you'll have access to the video. Okay, so I'll do a 15-20-minute video on each oil, and it's going to be part of that course. So you have access there. All right, so jump into desert sand. Okay, so it's a blend of a ton of oils, and mostly wood and root oils. Okay, so we have Eastern red cedar, orange, turmeric, Buddha wood. This is Australian, copaiba oil, rosemary, marjoram, and this one, I don't know what this is. The next one there, it's a resin. So, it could be the tree. Ginger oil, more root. Okay, cyperus, don't know what that is too much. Cinnamon, not quite sure. Vetiver, we know, and Australian sandalwood. Okay, so wood, tons of wood and lots of root. So what does that mean? Okay, it means it's fantastic for grounding. It's fantastic for the brain, fantastic for mental clarity. Okay, and I'll tell you more about it in a minute. But use it aromatically. Okay, so diffuse it and then use it topically with care because it has that orange. But otherwise, I use it topically. And you want to put it on the big toes because you want to get into the brain. You want to use it on your ears, the back of your neck, across your forehead. Yeah. And, why would you want to diffuse it? For meditation and prayer. Okay. So if your brain is going, a million miles and, we're all stressed and wound up, well, this is an oil to kind of help you relax. So you can see, it's named well, but imagine if you were in the desert. It's quiet and nothing much is happening, right? So it kind of reminds you to take a step back and transport yourself to a space where it's just really quiet, okay, and stillness. All right, so it's great for head tension. So when you're overthinking and everything is just going around in circles in your head and everything is so complicated, all right, it's one of those oils that kind of help calm you down. Yeah. For mindfulness. So sometimes this word is overused, but what mindfulness is more like being intentional in your choices, feeling your feelings, right? And then being able to receive more divine downloads as you move forward and make changes. Okay. So that's fantastic for meditation. Okay. Meditation is like brain exercise, isn't it? To kind of help your brain focus on what it needs to focus on, and then learning to master your energy. Relaxing. So it's not like the lavender where it's super relaxing in that way. It kind of helps draw the energy from the brain down. Okay, so it kind of helps you balance that energy, so it's not you're not all in your head so much. So because it's relaxing, it's great for sleep, right? Put it on the bottom of your feet, okay, before you go to bed, and that will help you kind of be present in what you're trying to do currently. It's a bug repellent as well, okay? So a lot of these tree oils just repel the bugs, okay, and it's great for the skin, right? So we have sandalwood, great for skin. All the wood oils are fantastic for skin, the vetiver. Okay, so put it on your skin when it's dry, right? But yeah, and if you have like bug bites, you can put it on the bug bite as well. Okay, it helps neutralize it. All right. Any questions? Okay. So the emotional side. So even if you don't have it, you can integrate it. Okay, so integrate the energy of this desert sand. So I've got friends in Australia that says, hey, I've got a couple of people that, are testing up for this oil. So this is the oil of the power of solitude. Okay, so desert sand outback blend invites you to be still and connected to the earth and to your divine source for spiritual strength, power, and resilience. So it's sort of like, the heavenly poles and the earthly poles, you're connecting. Okay. Inspired by the Australian scorched red earth landscapes, desert sand urges you to experience the magic and power of solitude. Okay. Allow yourself a space to have deep spiritual reflection. Connect to heaven and earth at the same time. So it's like balancing. Only in solitude do we find ourselves, and in finding ourselves, we find our truest life purpose. Sometimes we get really busy and we keep ourselves busy and distracted because sometimes we're scared of our own greatness or scared to step into our calling, our earthly calling, to fulfill the measure of our creation because, for whatever reason, we're scared. So this invites you to take some time to be still and find yourself. It's kind of like somebody wandering in the wilderness a little bit to find themselves. Okay, but you don't have to be in the scorching heat or whatever, be in your home and be able to do that. Solitude is a place of purification, transformation, the place of the great struggle and the great encounter. Henry Nouwen. Isn't that great? Don't be afraid of this silence and stillness. As you learn to get in touch with your soul, you will access your divine wisdom and genius. Because everybody has this, divine intelligence, right? To discover divine truth and solutions to your current concerns. Be discerning, wise, and recognize the difference between your voice, God's voice, and that of the adversary. Learn to trust yourself and trust God. As you begin to transcend the world more and more, you'll be able to hear your inner voice clearer, even when you're in crowded places. Okay. To transcend the world, you are required to be self-aware, serene, objective, and unattached. Calm and quieten the mind from all the mind chatter for mental clarity. Okay. So mental clarity is when things are simplified. There's no confusion. You have less drama. You can easily find solutions. Okay. It's not overthinking. It's about just, allowing the flow of divine downloads to come to you. It's not you going around in circles in your head going, let's figure this one out. Okay. It's just, I'm going to be still and relax and let the answer come to me. Okay. And people who are able to have that inner peace, they don't need to go out there and do something to stimulate and get them happy and get them excited. Maybe to the outside, people might think, maybe you're kind of boring, but, you have such inner peace. You've made peace with yourself. You're so happy that you don't need to be searching constantly for something out there that's, going to feel that need. Solitude is not necessarily the absence of company. It is not the same as being lonely or empty. Solitude is when your soul is free to speak to you, and when you find strength to freely choose, change, and create. Okay, it's being comfortable with yourself and having integrity to follow your heart compass. So no one else's voice is telling you what to do, right? You belong to yourself entirely. You don't have to rely on others or society to tell you what to do or what to think. You can be your own authority. Sustain yourself with constant spiritual nourishment through meditation and prayer. Does anyone want to add to this? Vanessa? Would you want to say something?
Oh no, sorry, I must have bumped something. Sorry.
No worries. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Solitude is essential to the art of loving God, loving yourself and others. Okay, it's important. Solitude is necessary for inner fulfillment. In solitude, we can activate our creative and manifesting powers, stimulate the powerful creative mind, remember who you are, and become a truer friend to yourself. Because sometimes when we're with people, we can conform even when we don't want to, or we can self-betray. So this kind of helps you, strengthen that, so that you don't do those things. Sharpen your mind and senses and pursue your purpose and with passion. Yeah. So that's the power of solitude, guys. Okay, so the negative energy is feeling unempowered, scattered, overthinking, impatient, discouraged, rushed, panicked, confused, distracted, and disconnected. Yep. Okay. And we don't have to be that rushed and that panicked and confused or worried, even though maybe the world might be, but we don't need to be. Okay. So the negative thoughts that creates those negative feelings, could be, I'm so stressed because life is so complicated. In our mind, we have this chatter that says, oh, everything is so hard, everything is too much and so complicated. I struggle to stay focused on one task because of all the voices around me, all the demands. I can't trust myself or others to make the right choices. Yeah, so we feel like we have to micromanage and be controlling. Yeah. Okay, here's some positive energy: resilient, powerful, strength, centered, grounding, patience, hopeful, mental clarity, refreshed, renewed faith, confident and calm. And it reminds you of the desert, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so enlightened thoughts and beliefs. In my solitude, I discovered gems of divine wisdom. When you're struggling with something, and maybe just step away. Yeah, you'll receive that understanding when we're not pushing against it too much. I allow myself time for deep spiritual reflection. Everything is solvable with heaven's help. And I am calm, self-aware, serene, objective, and unattached. Yeah. We need to be objective, remove ourselves and attach to things, and then we'll see clearer. Yeah. Okay, so positive affirmations. I'm accessing my divine wisdom and genius. I'm activating my creative and manifesting powers. Okay, my life is peaceful, and simple. Isn't that great? Okay. Okay, so here's some companion oils and products if you want to. Okay, you can put that straight in the diffuser or add some more things to it. So you can add peppermint, frankincense, eucalyptus, and any citrus oils. So pick a few of these. You can add that to the diffuser. It smells really good. All right, for stress, combine it with frankincense and lavender. You can do that. And then for meditation, frankincense and peppermint. Yeah. All right, so let's have a little discussion. Okay, how would you like to use desert sand, knowing what it does for you now?
I would probably use it because I do yoga every morning.
Yeah.
I would definitely use it to diffuse when I was doing my yoga, because part of yoga is the meditation.
Mhm.
So it would definitely help me in that way.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned before how, you know, when there's all this stress around you, you're like, I don't want to be pulled into that. I work so hard to keep myself calm and at peace now. You know, I don't want to get it back into that and then get myself sick again, right? So, you know, it gives you that extra strength to kind of keep the mind clear and not let all the voices come into your mind. Yeah, because you want to please people and you don't want people to be mad or sad at you. Yeah, but yeah, we just need to find that strength, that inner strength. Anybody else? If you had the desert sand, how would you like to use it? Sierra?
I just think I was trying to turn off my mute. I just think I would use it more to be focused on what my goals were instead of letting, it's not just voices thinking either you're not enough or, you know, what other people would think or say. Sometimes just thoughts get in your way, like, oh, I have to do this first, or I have to do, I mean, if anybody else out there deals with ADD or ADHD, where their mind is scattered, sometimes they'll understand what I'm talking about. But this just sounds very grounding, like it could help you in so many different levels. I would definitely use it in the morning just to start my day off focused.
Yep, that is perfect, Sierra. That is the best idea. Yeah, you know, it doesn't have to be kids, right? It can be adults. When you're so used to multitasking, but you know, when you were little, you had to be hyper vigilant because that was like drilled into you. You know, you didn't want to make a mistake, otherwise, you know, we get, you know, spanked or whatever. So, you know, we learn to just be tense and stressed, and we don't even know that we're stressed because that's our norm until we unstress and we're like, oh, I was that way all this time. Like, what? Yeah.
And I thought multitasking was just something that like you learned as you grew up. I didn't realize that there are people that literally cannot multitask, or I mean, it's just something that came naturally for me because my brain was already multitasking. So I have to stop my brain sometimes from, like, I'll be on the move for a purpose, and then I'll get distracted by, oh, this really, like, the dishes need to get done and I really need to do that and I haven't gotten to that today, but wait, I'm supposed to be doing this. I have to refocus myself all the time purposely so that I stay on task. And it can get frustrating at times. I highly love the fact that I can multitask because I see those in my family who can't, and I feel for them. I'm like, can you really not do this?
Yeah. Their issue is probably time management, you know, to get things done. But like multitasking too much can be a vice, can't it? Because it's sort of like worry and fear, like can't breathe and can't relax until this is done, that's done, everything's done, and you're scattered.
And it's exhausting.
Sort of, it's exhausting. And then you know, you can't just enjoy the moment and I'm just going to enjoy this task, and then when I'm done, put it away, and then I enjoy the next task, and everything is organized and simple and sweet. yeah, so I read somewhere that, you know, one of the greatest minds don't multitask. They know all the things that they are able to do, but they maximize their thinking ability, right, and into each task and do an excellent job, not just a good job, an excellent job with everything they do. And then your body will love you for it, because everything will flow. Your gut health, you have less inflammation, you know, everything will work fine because you're trusting in the flow of the universe. So when I learned that, I thought, okay, I'm gonna start doing that more, right? So I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna get to that. When I get to that in the right time, don't need to rush it. So yeah, my favorite in the morning is frankincense, balance. And now that I have this, I'm going to be doing this too, because it's like we want to achieve a lot to feel like we, you know, didn't waste our day. But at the same time, you want to enjoy each day of your life, right? And then do it according to the divine directions. So what if you have a big list and you say, here, God, tell me which one to do first, right? And then it's like this order and this order and this order. And then when you go back to the other things, you're like, wait, that's all done for me already. And hey, I only needed to do 3 out of the 6. And life is great, right? So we're partnershiping with, you know, with God, and then allowing the universe to unfold as it should, instead of imposing our will. You know, because I know that, you know, way back when I was very fearful, it was like, we got to get this done or else nothing's going to, you know, turn out right. And, you know, all of this worry, and it's so unnecessary. And then you're teaching your kids to be fearful and not faithful. So more, hey, I'm going to change that. Yeah. So those are fantastic ways to use it, guys. So what are your thoughts and feelings about having deep spiritual reflections? Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. I actually look forward to them.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yeah.
I have them, I feel like each one is a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. I taught the Old Testament last year to a bunch of youth. So we had this Bible study every day. And I noticed how many of the prophets, you know, they take themselves away and then they hide them into the mountain and they do this deep spiritual reflection. And they come down with all of this, you know, great knowledge and inspiration from God and stuff. And I think this is something all of us should do, right? Even if we can do it at home, or if you go for a walk and just get away from, it's not that the people are annoying or anything. It's just, I need to hear me and just me and God. Yeah. And then discover some truth and get some answers. And as you move, I feel like movement is important. As you move, it allows the movement from heaven to come down and help find solutions for you. Sometimes we rack our brain to find solutions, when, you know, you just do whatever you need to do, walking, you know, hanging clothes or whatever in Australia, doing dishes, whatever, you know, just relaxing and just being focused and movement kind of allows that to download. Anybody else? What do you think about deep spiritual reflections? Nora? Go ahead and unmute yourself, Nora.
I had to find me. I was on the next screen.
Let's go.
Yes. It helps I've been using your journal, the journal for balancing energy with faith every morning, and along with Come Follow Me. And sometimes I don't get to do both in the morning, but when I do get to do one or the other, it's like, oh wow, it would have been great if I had read that before the day started.
Yeah. That was my answer.
Yeah. So even if you don't have hours to go off and think deeply or whatever, just taking just like an hour, not or less, even 15, 20 minutes to read and reflect and use your oils, especially balance. I would love to try desert sand. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
It just makes a huge difference in your day. Instead of being in that fight or flight, freeze, fawn, whatever it is, mode all day, you're actually in a much more mindful flow.
Yeah. And it takes you back a little bit to like more of the olden day, I feel, where the humans don't need to be rushing so much, and we make food from scratch and we sit around and talk, visit. Yeah, and we're just not so panicked about survival somehow. Yeah, I love that. And I like, Nora, when you said sometimes when you do have the opportunity, you work at it until you fill your soul with the Spirit of God, and then your day goes well. Right, and sometimes it's quick and sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but if you do have that time, it's worth that effort. Yeah, because you do everything as inspired. Yeah. Lisa?
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's interesting because when you take in any knowledge of anything really, but if talking spiritually here for a moment, the fact that you can take it in and have head knowledge, and that's fine. But if you don't meditate upon it and think about or reflect on how it's going to affect you, or how you want God to use that information in your life or for others, or things like that, that's exactly where it's going to stay in your head, and you need it to move to the heart, because the heart is the seat of motivation. And that's what you say, like at the top there, take action. So if we don't stop or take the time to meditate, and sometimes it's not, spending, a whole block of time, so to speak. You could be thinking throughout the day, but it's that mulling over, that really thinking about, what's he trying to tell me, what's the qualities that he wants me to bring out, like all these things. So if we don't move it from our head to our heart, it's never going to eventuate into action. So it's really important, I think, to take the time and just acknowledge that if you want to have those deeper thoughts, I guess.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Lisa. I love how you put that, because we should, it's not helpful for us to worship God with our head. We need to worship with our heart. And yes, think about some things, but move it to your heart. Okay, so that when you move it to your heart, your hands will take the action naturally. And so you don't have to be forcing yourself, willpower. You will be inspired and you can't help it. Yeah. You go out there and serve people because you love people, and just your cup is so full and overflowing. It's just a natural thing. Yeah. So beautiful. Thank you guys for your insight. The next question, what does it mean for you to have inner fulfillment? What does that mean? Inner fulfillment.
I guess I can.
Sorry.
No, go right ahead. I was just going to comment, since nobody else was, when you feel fulfilled inside, it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier, Jade, about not having to, like, I adventure a lot. So it's funny that I would be the one to say this. I adventure because I love to see new places and new things, but I don't do it to fulfill an emptiness within me.
Yeah.
I do it because I enjoy sharing that with my family or friends or whatnot. I just love adventures. It's something that is truly joyful to me. But when you have inner fulfillment, is when you're not constantly striving for something to fill a loss or a space within you that is unhappy, basically, that is that feels empty, and you're trying to replace it with something. And I think that is human nature, because in my opinion, we're constantly trying to replace the feeling that we still remember within our hearts of when we were with Heavenly Father.
Mhm.
And there's truly nothing here on earth that can replace that except for the spirit itself. Just feeling fulfilled within by just being spiritually uplifted.
Yeah, and connected, right? Yeah, and when you're connected, you know that God knows, and so you need to do what you need to do. Yeah, and it's like no one else can tell you otherwise, right? And you're just true to yourself because.
And what's funny is when I go on a lot of my adventures, I would say 90% of it is out in the nature somewhere or seeing new parts of the world and whatnot. And that's when I feel like I really take those moments. You were talking about having those alone moments. They can be in your living room, but I love being in nature and taking those moments to truly just feel connected and to feel blessed by the earth that we were given, and to be joyful, like in how gorgeous and beautiful a creator he truly is.
Mhm. Yeah, that's beautiful. So your adventure is more like movement, isn't it? It's like allowing the flow, but over here, with this nature, and over there, it's not like looking for yourself, looking for something that you don't have, you're missing in your soul. Yeah. So Rosie, inner fulfillment.
I think that was pretty much it, because it's just what Sierra was saying and you were saying. I feel like it's just I'm not being so tired or exhausted, because you're just being like, I don't know whether to say relax, but in a fulfillment, you don't have to get the best of anything. You don't have to do anything. It's just like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you're not doing it to prove anything to anybody. And I love what you said about the tiredness, right? Because when you're going against yourself and your path, you're tired. And that should be a sign. But when you have that inner fulfillment, you have this burning energy and you keep on being energized and you keep coming back to it. Yeah. And just it. Yeah. Love that. Last question. Okay, how do you feel about enjoying a simplistic life? Okay, Miss Sierra, you got a beautiful smile there. What's happening?
It's more me laughing at myself. So I was without a phone for 2 weeks and it killed me. I like my technology. I love my phone. But I will say I've had many moments where, we've been with less, just like on one of those adventures where we're in a tent or in, a place where we just have less and everything is just more simple. And even 2 of the days on this trip, when we were in Alaska, I didn't have a phone. I couldn't even take pictures, you guys. Like that is my one and only thing. Like the reason I didn't have a phone is because I kept deleting like the worst of my pictures so that I could fill up my phone with more pictures, because my memory was almost full. Well, I filled it. And apparently when you fill your phone, it no longer works for you at all. So I couldn't even answer a text or a phone call. I could see it coming through if it was charged. I could see it, but it wouldn't even recognize my fingerprint. So in those moments where you aren't distracted by technology, even to take a picture, all you can do is just stand there and take in what you're seeing. And I tend to do that anyway. And in fact, that's one of the reasons my husband said he fell in love with me, was because I noticed things in nature all the time that he wouldn't even see before, like the birds or butterflies or something, that I would point out and be like, look how beautiful, or the excitement I get every single time I see a dolphin. He's like, we live in Florida, you see them all the time, like, and every single time I'm like a little girl who has seen it for the first time all over again. And like being enjoying just the gifts that we get to see in that simplicity is like so beautiful and so wonderful. And I hope that I instilled that in my children, that they can see the beauty in the world and just put down the distractions for a while. In fact, that's one of my requirements with Darian, because he's so connected to his friends online and his games and things like that, that when we're out and about, I'm like, you can't have it, or you can't have your phone, you have to leave it here so we can do this. And he always says he enjoys it, but then he's right back to his phone or something. So
no, I love that. Really enjoy what God has created for you all around you, and just take a moment to feel it. Love
the
it.
reason I was laughing though is because sometimes it's difficult to make yourself. I mean, I know it's really difficult for some people, especially if they did not grow up with the influence of taking it all in, to even recognize the simplicities in life and how wonderful they can be. So I was laughing at just, I didn't like not having my phone for 2 weeks,
And the phone doesn't necessarily mean you're distracted. So yeah. So if you have good control, I don't have any of the notifications or anything, so I pick up the phone when I need to pick up the phone, and it doesn't, control me. I am the boss of it. So yeah. What do you guys think? Sandy, simplistic life.
Sarah, I had to laugh when you said about the dolphins, because that's the way I am about deer. I live in Maryland, and they're just everywhere. I mean, I could look outside at any given time of the day and maybe see 2 or 3 deer in my front yard, but I still drive down the road and I tell my husband, look, there's a baby, it makes me so happy to think that my husband and I can both be very satisfied with really simple things, because it's easier to maintain, and it's just less stressful.
Yeah. And Sandy has a beautiful home surrounded by big, big, tall trees. And so, yeah, it's easy for her to kind of enjoy that nature and feel that peace. So yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful, Sandy. Yeah. Lisa, go ahead.
I'm sorry if I'm repeating anything here, because I had a phone call. So sorry I missed a bit of what some people have said, but it just made me think of Jesus' words when he said, if your eye is simple, your whole body will be bright. And for me at the moment, I'm trying to declutter and reorganize a few things. And it's amazing how when you think of that in any aspect of your life, keeping it simple, your whole body. And I think it's such an amazing thing what you take in with what you see, whether it be nature or what you see or what you're aiming for, what you're trying to achieve or whatever it is. It has an effect on the body, obviously. So you can have that feeling of being weighed down. So I'm thinking, if you keep it simple, whatever, in any facet of your life, you're going to have the feeling. Well, it helps me to envision I'm going to have my body's going to feel lighter. It's not going to be weighed down and heavy and overburdened. So I'm trying to do that now, because I'm a bit like, I like a place for everything. I like to be able to, go and get it when I want it, know where it is, all that. I get frustrated and annoyed when it's not at my fingertips, so to speak. So, so for me, working on that principle of that is really helping me to find actually that word you've got there, enjoying it, more joy in my life, because I'm trying, or I'm striving to keep things simple. So I hope that helps.
No, it's beautiful. It's exactly what I was thinking, because I do sessions on people, and when their house and home, things are all over the place, and they're hoarding like lots and lots of stuff that they could use maybe sometime in the future, but they haven't used in the last 10 years, but they're still holding on because they might need it. It's the same with their memories. It's the same with their the history. It's like all of this pain, I'm collecting them all, and I'm just remembering them all, because in case I get hurt in the future, I can protect myself. So instead of like letting go and trusting God that, I haven't used this, I have a rule for myself. If I haven't used it for a year, even if it's like clothing or whatever, shoes, I'm like, unless it's like a very fancy dress that you wear at a wedding or something, I toss it out. I give it away, because I don't want to have things own me. because otherwise you have to find something, some place to put it. You need to buy a container. You need to insure something, you know, and find just a room and make room in your life for it. And I think, no, not worth it. We want a simple life, right? And enjoy the simple things, hugging the children, reading them a bedtime story, whatever, and eating dinner with them every day, having a chat, how was school and things. That's what I like to do. That's how I want to live. Yeah. So yeah, Sierra, go ahead.
I just love how Lisa pointed out that you can feel weighed down. And
Yeah.
yes, it does completely and totally affect your body. But I just thank you so much for sharing, Lisa, because when I got back from our vacation, and yesterday, you know, yesterday's Monday, I'm gonna, you know, I had a lot of goals, and all I wanted to do was bury myself under blankets yesterday. Like, that's all I wanted to do. Because when I got, like, when we left on vacation, you only have what you carry in your suitcases. Everything is very simplistic, right? You only have a very limited amount. And then you're just enjoying family and visiting and whatnot. And when I came back home, I was coming back to the clutter and everything that I have slowly been starting to go through and get rid of and whatnot. And I just got overwhelmed yesterday with the amount that I still need to do. And that's why I wanted to bury myself under blankets, because I just didn't want to deal with it. So I felt very weighed down yesterday and a little overwhelmed. And I was like, oh, it was so much easier when we were gone. Maybe that's why I like being gone so much. But
Run away from the clutter.
but you're so right. So I'm glad this came out, because it just reiterated what I started to do last year, you know, halfway through the year, and especially the last few months, I just said, okay, I'm going to make this more simple for myself, because it just does seem too much to tackle at times. So I'm like, okay, today I'm just doing this drawer, and I just pick a drawer, and I declutter anything out of that one drawer that I don't need anymore. And so it just kind of simplified everything and made it way easier. So thank you for sharing that, because it just reiterated that I need to continue this year with what my goal was, and not be hard on myself how fast it gets done, but just to get it done one drawer at a time, or one closet at a time, whatever.
Yeah, you'll get there, right? Yeah, that's so good. Well, thank you, ladies. I'll stop the recording now.